Yo, what is going on, guys? Finally, today I am delivering on the promise of the MCOC Best Defenders Defensive Tier List. So it took me a while to put this together, and I also talked to some alliance mates, mainly one my battle group leader, Taters. I sent him the entire list, and I'm like, "Yo, what do you think of this?" And I took all of his recommendations into account and made changes based off that because he really knows defenders. He places our defense every war. He plans our attack based on the opponent's defense every war. He's been in For Loki doing this for an extremely long amount of time, so I really trust his opinions and his thoughts on the matter. But this list is based upon my opinion. So if you guys disagree, that's cool. If you guys would like to see another iteration of the offensive tier list, I haven't recorded the video on it yet, but I've completed the new list, and I made a lot of changes based upon your feedback. Literally, when I was constructing it, I looked at my last video offensive tier list, and I read all 500 comments, like each single comment. I didn't read every single thread of comments, but read every individual comment. And I took a lot of what you guys said into account and made changes based upon that. A lot of promotions, demotions, and also there's 5 new champions added to that one: Tigra, Hitmonkey, Sasquatch, Guardian, and Weapon X. Forgot to put him on the last one. So yeah, if you guys want to see that video, drop a like on this one. 2,000 likes, and upload the offensive tier list, the next iteration of it. Again, with my opinion, but based upon a lot of your guys' feedback. So without further ado, let's jump in. So this one is a little bit different than the offensive tier list. I didn't just copy and paste the same tiers. I mixed it up a bit, and so there's really only 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4 basic tiers, and then the diversity tier is just the rest of the champions. So if a champion's not listed on here, they're not really a defender type champion, and I didn't even bother listing them because there's a lot of champions like that. So yeah, we got the best defenders, and so we have the insane tier, the SS tier. So these are like just the absolute best defenders in the game. You put them on like any node and like they're good, but you put them on the right node with the right tactic, and like you're probably gonna get a kill, right? An extremely difficult fight, you make it. Then we have the God tier, which are just some really, really good defenders. When they first came out, they were in this tier, but as time has gone on, just the people learning how to fight them, better counters, they've gone down a little bit, but they're still definitely in the top tier. They're God tier defenders. Then we have the annoying tier, really annoying champions to fight against, but they're a lot of them are older, and people have really learned how to fight against them. And we also have the solid tier. These are champions that are defensive based. They have defensive abilities, but they're just you don't expect them to get a kill. Maybe on the right node with the right defense tactic, they could get a kill. But when I was constructing this list, I didn't construct it based upon like nodes and defense tactics for everything. It was more based upon champions' defensive abilities on their own. The exception for that is the bosses, which we'll talk about in a second. But there are champions that like for example Rogue here. She's down in the solid tier. Last war season, with Flo, you put Rogue on the Aegis heavy node, Max Limber, put her on that node with Flo. She goes from the solid tier to at least the annoying tier, probably to the God tier, maybe even up another tier. Like the right champion with the right defense tactic and on the right node combination, can really boost them. But this list is more based upon just defensive abilities. If you guys would like to see like a defender tactic iteration of this, like so for taking a look at all the stubborn champions in the game and then putting them in a tier list, maybe we could do that in the future. Let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in. But yeah, this is based upon more just defensive abilities. Now let's start with the best bosses. So this is based upon my personal experience in the last season and a half back in the highest tier of Alliance Wars. So these are based upon bosses that I've seen and bosses that we as For Loki use and fight against, that sort of thing. So at number 1, well, these aren't like in any order, but I would say, they kind of are. Weapon X and Doom, I'd say, are the 2 best bosses right now. So Weapon X, so this does take into account defender tactics, and Weapon X had a defense tactic. It was the Crush. But unfortunately, they got rid of that one. And just the Crush was actually really good, but there just wasn't that many good champions with the tag to benefit from it to be a very effective tactic. But we used Crush once, or maybe more than once, but we used it specifically against Kenobi one war to really throw them off, to give them something they weren't used to. And my Weapon X wasn't even on the boss node, and he got like 3 kills, I think. It was crazy. So yeah, unfortunately, there's no that tactic doesn't exist anymore for him. But just Weapon X on the boss node is really good placement. And I remember when I first joined for Loki, I would place my Weapon X on defense, and they would actually make him the boss. And like I like that, it made me feel good about having a rank 3 Weapon X, kind of more justified my rank up. And I asked, like, why put him as the boss? I was just curious. And Taters explained to me that he's very difficult to fight just on any node, but the best option for Weapon X is Quake. If you have a perfect Quaker, it's going to be the best option for Weapon X. But if you place Weapon X on the boss node, there's True Strike, so it cannot be Quake. So that takes away the best attacker for Weapon X. And yeah, there's not that many champions in the game that can fight Weapon X. Dr. Voodoo can do it. I've seen a boss solo. It's right down to the wire. And it did not look very easy, and a lot of people these days aren't really primed in Dr. Voodoo. That the Dr. Voodoo skill is rusty in most people, because you don't really use him that often. So yeah, Weapon X definitely one of the best bosses, and it was actually like Tater said, like, that's the one boss that we don't want to see. Like when we were fighting another alliance, this was back on the old map. We didn't want to see Weapon. That was the boss we most didn't want to see, because it's really good. So yeah, Weapon X definitely one of the best bosses, but he is a very rare champion. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a tactic. So I would say that the best currently is Dr. Doom. I would say now with Stubborn. So Dr. Doom with Stubborn is just insane on this new map. Dr. Doom, you saw him as a boss when he first came out fairly often. It was quite prevalent when he first came out as a boss, and then people kind of understood how to fight him. It was Ghost to counter him, and it wasn't that difficult of a fight to use Ghost to solo him with tech boost, max boosting, and everything like that. But Stubborn throws in a whole different meta into the fight because of the indestructible. And using Ghost, when you phase, then he goes indestructible. You gotta take a blocked hit. You have to make sure you're not Dex before you go special. It's a whole nother thing into this fight. And Ghost is still the best option for this Dr. Doom fight, but you need to be like an extremely good Ghost player to be able to solo Dr. Doom Stubborn boss. And I've seen Pete do it twice now with his 6-star rank 3 6200 Ghost. I saw the recording of the first time he did it. Extremely impressive. Some of the best Ghost gameplay I've ever seen. That's why Pete, I think he's the best Ghost player. I was very impressed. It was very nice takedown, and I don't even know if I could do it. I definitely would need a little bit of practice in the fight, like just going in without ever doing that type of a fight with Stubborn with Ghost. I don't think I'd be able to solo on my first try. I would need at least one thing of practice first. Yeah, so that's definitely a really solid boss. And then Mojo. Mojo's a great boss. He was the meta boss for a very long time, and for a good reason. With Flow and Siphon, he benefits from both, and both are pretty good for him. I've soloed Mojo with both, but it's tough to say which. I definitely had a much easier experience with Flow because I had the Morningstar synergy, and that made the fight just a million times easier. And with Siphon, I didn't have the Morningstar synergy, and it was a much longer fight. But I would say Mojo probably with Flow is a little bit trickier. But yeah, he's a good boss, either way. And then now we have Thing. So Thing was a really, you saw him as a boss all the time back in the day. And then, I haven't seen him as a boss in a long time until Stubborn. Now I've seen a little bit of a resurgence in the Thing bosses. And he's definitely, I'd say he's 4th on this list for the best bosses. But he is definitely a good boss, especially if you have him like a 6-star rank 3. So a really big health pool, really chunky Thing fight. I think Omega Red's the best option for him, but yeah, definitely still a good boss. So especially with Stubborn now, because again, it just changes the fight. But yeah, so I think those are the best bosses, and let's talk about the insane tier. So we got Nick Fury up first. Nick Fury is just such a crazy defender, man, and now that he has Stubborn, oh my god, he was already such a good defender. and just adding stubborn on top of that now, it's pretty ridiculous. There's some nodes on the new map where it's crazy. Same for Korg. Korg when he came out, he was probably like the toughest. I don't know. Like when he came out, man, Korg. It was pretty crazy when Korg first came out, and we started seeing him all over Alliance 4. I still remember when Korg first came out. Like I showed that Omega Red could be used against him, and Omega Red was, Omega Red came out after. Yeah, I remember using Omega Red against Korg. I'm like, oh my god, this is a great new Korg counter. But yeah, Korg, especially with Stubborn as well. Oh my god, it just takes. He's already insane tier without Stubborn, and then with Stubborn, it's just, it's ridiculous, especially on node 23 on the new map. Such a crazy combination. These two, just crazy skilled defenders. And then we got Domino up next. Domino, she could just make you fail your abilities, and you could just literally lose the fight because of RNG. And it happened to me last season. My very first death with 4 Loki was to a 6-star rank 3 Domino on path 4, and it was just, I just got unlucky. My abilities would not proc, and it can just happen. It's so easy for it to happen, and you can just make your abilities fail. So yeah, it's just you never know how a Domino fight's really gonna go. So yeah, that's why she's up there. And then Weapon X, man, is such a crazy defender. So many defensive abilities. It's honestly crazy how good of a defender this guy is. There's really not that many champions that can even deal with him, especially on certain nodes. So yeah, Weapon X, he's crazy defender. The good thing about him though is he's so rare that you're really not gonna run into him in most wars, and if you do, there'll probably only be one. So hopefully you don't have to take the path that he's on, or maybe if you want to, if you're a good Quaker, you can Quake him unless he's the boss. And then we got Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom, just another crazy defender. So many chunky defensive stats. It's crazy. If you use a champion with like an average or below, I don't even know what the average critical rating is in the game, but if you use a champion with below average critical rating, you're just not going to crit. Like, you just will not crit against him. Like, Red Guardian thing, you'll never crit against Dr. Doom. It just won't happen. Maybe you get one crit in like a 5-minute fight, but this critical resistance is ridiculous, man. And if you get that shock on you, get the shock on you even just by playing perfect. If he can nullify your decks with his aura, and you get the shock on you, then he can start heavying you, and the fight can go south against Dr. Doom very fast. He's crazy. Unblockable specials, you really got to be able to evade his special one. And he's also stubborn, of course. Just another stubborn defender too. So yeah, that's great. And next up we have Thing and Mojo. So originally I had Thing and Mojo in the God tier category, but Tater suggested that I move them up a tier. And the reason I had them down a tier was just because Thing, he's been out for a while, and I feel like you can know how to fight him, but he is one of the craziest defensive abilities characters in the game. Like think about it like this: his defensive abilities are so strong that when Kabam put him into the Abyss, they didn't even give him an abyssal ability. They didn't even give him the generic science one. They didn't give him anything. He's just a 2.6 million health Thing fight. Just because there's already so much going on with Thing, Kabam didn't even want to put another Abyss node on him. So I find that very interesting. So yeah, I can see Thing being in the insane tier. Just managing his rock stacks and so much to worry about. Very easy to slip up against Thing as well. And then also Mojo. Mojo fights can go south very quick. You just get that degen on you and just start dying. And yeah, Mojo, he's not a big fan of his defensive abilities for just degenerating, for just playing the fight, But so that's the insane tier. And then we move down to the God tier again. Like, these defenders are all very good. Iron Man Infinity War, he's like on the cusp of the insane tier. When he first came out, definitely insane tier. He was like probably like the best defender at the time when he first came out, man. I remember on the old map, Iron Man Infinity War is just like stopping alliances. Like, couldn't even get through him. 30 kills on that one armor node. Like, it was crazy. But I feel like now most people know how to fight against him, and he can still be very good. and he's still definitely a really good defender. But I just don't think he quite makes into that next tier. Same for Havoc, when Havoc first came out, it was crazy, but just bring someone with armor up buff, and you're good. Same for Ebony Maw, with his falter, you can bring Human Torch, you can repair, you knock him down. Annihilus, another one that was really difficult when he first came out, but now, if you actually just learn the little trick to fighting Annihilus, he's honestly not even that difficult. He's kind of easier than a lot of other champions if you can master the trick, and it's just, when he's dashing at you, you just dex, and then boop, tap the right side of the screen to throw a light attack, and boom, you do a combo. Like, it's a free opening, and it makes the fight much easier. And if you can just keep your distance to evade his L1s, it's not that bad. And then Dormammu, Dormammu, he's always been a really good defender. This guy used to always be Alliance War bosses way back in the day, when Mystic Dispersion was the way it was back then, which is pretty crazy. There was 2 reasons why you didn't want to dex against Dormammu, but he's still a good defender. Same for MODOK, his auto block, he can just be annoying, easily catch you. Killmonger, that reverberation, his special one can trip you up sometimes. Arcus, it's crazy power gain on some nodes, he can catch you. Nova, the auto blocking annoyance. Jesus, Nova's annoying. Sasquatch, Hitmonkey, and Spider-Gwen. I had these 3 in the annoying tier, and Taylor suggested I move them up as well. My Hitmonkey has gotten my most defender kills so far this season. He's been doing a pretty good job on defense, because if you slip up against him, he's got guaranteed crits. That's actually a really big thing, and it's very easy to slip up against him. If you knock him down, he's going to have a chance to evade. He's going to purify stuns. So yeah, it's very easy to slip up against him and just get hit. And then if you do get hit, they're going to crit. They're going to crit hard. Very easy to die against him. Sasquatch, his arena's going on at the time of me recording this video, so he's not really that out there yet, but I think he will be a pretty good defender, especially just like new champions are usually pretty good defenders because they're just not a lot of experience fighting against them quite yet. And I feel like when he goes into his Wrath of Tanarek, he's stun immune, so if you try to parry and you just forget you can't stun him, you could catch a combo. Also, if you block the last part of a special one, you're going to get stunned. That can definitely catch people. And then Spider-Gwen, Dreamin' died to a Spider-Gwen. She is actually stubborn as well. And yeah, her evading is just crazy. She can nullify True Strike. So yeah, Spider-Gwen, after her buff, just one of the highest evasion rate champions in the game, actually, which is pretty crazy. And then yeah, we're not going to go through the rest of the tiers, but yeah, so some underrated attacker or defenders, I'd say Longshot. Longshot's actually a really good defender when you might think that he's not. Who else? Pretty underrated defender on here. Thor Ragnarok. He killed me my first death of the season. My only death so far. The other one was a timeout, but yeah, Thor Ragnarok. I wanted to put him higher just because I died to him, but I couldn't justify it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Don't want to go through too many more, but yeah, this is the defensive tier list for midway through 2020. Let me know what you guys thought. Let me know if you guys would like to see more. Let me know if you like this format. If you'd like me to change the format or anything like that. I'm very interested to hear you guys' feedback. Haven't made one of these in a very long time. So yeah, and remember, if you want to see the next iteration of the offensive tier list, 2,000 likes. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you did enjoy. Peace out.